In Mexico, especially, the smoky and light sopa de tortilla, or tortilla soup, is incredibly refreshing, especially when it's topped off with a squeeze of lime and a crackle of tortilla strips, and maybe a little bit of very tasty pepper strips, too. I have 1 tomato that's been under a hot broiler between 8 and 10 minutes. Take off the skin and put the tomato right in the jar of a blender. Don't worry about the seeds. Just plunk it right down. Now, in a skillet or in a soup pan, heat about a scant tablespoon of corn oil. And we have 1 medium yellow onion that has been coarsely chopped. We want to cook this just until it's become translucent. And 2 cloves of garlic. They can be just coarsely chopped. This will make about 4 servings of the soup. Season the onion with salt and pepper. While this is getting soft, you can cut up your tortillas. We have an assortment of blue corn tortillas, and flour tortillas. So I'm going to cut these tortillas into long strips. You can use a serrated knife for ease of cutting. These will be crisped at the last minute. We'll just save those. We don't want to brown this onion, and now you can just heat a little bit of oil in a skillet. This will be the same skillet in which we fry the tortilla strips, and I'm just going to add a little bit of oil here and soften the pasilla peppers. Just add it to this, and you'll see how these just soften up. Now this looks excellent. And now just pick up your pot and put the onion mixture right into your blender jar. There. And now blend this. Oh, I think those peppers must be finished. Yes, they're nice. Just let these stay right here. Now blend. Make sure that you blend until all the lumps are gone. Yes, this looks great. You can add a little bit more oil. And you're going to cook this mixture until it's thick and darker in color. Whisk in about 6 cups of rich homemade chicken broth. You can use canned broth. You can use frozen broth. You can add a little bouquet of cilantro and oregano. Tie it up in a little bag of cheesecloth or just with a string. It's going to be fished out of the pot before you serve the soup anyway. Now bring that to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer and cook partially covered for about 30 minutes. Just watch that. And now it's time to fry the tortillas. Add a little bit more corn oil, about a half a cup. Wait till it gets hot and then fry the tortilla strips. Same method as you would use for churning your tortillas into taco shells or into tortilla chips. I like to sprinkle these strips with a little bit of coarse salt. Remember, if you want to make your own really, really good tortilla chips, you can make them right at home using corn oil. Cut the tortillas into about 8 triangles. And now chop that lovely pasilla pepper into bits. This is going to be just sprinkled. See how crispy it's become? Very unusual flavor, too. And choose a bowl that's really large enough to accommodate all these lovely garnishes and the soup and the tortilla strips. Before we fill the soup bowls, prepare at least 1 avocado. The avocado should be ripe, but not too mushy. And to get the pit out, just hit it with your knife and twist like that. See, it comes right out. We want to cut this into strips. And then if you go crosswise, and you can scoop that out with a spoon. Everyone has a way of dealing with avocados. The basis for the most wonderful dip that I know, which is guacamole. So here you can put as much avocado as you want. See how nicely it comes out like this? Just put that in the bottom of your bowl. Ladle in your soup. We have finely grated red radish. We have wedges of lime. We have the Mexican cheese. And you're going to do this right at the last minute before you sit down after that hot day in the sun or any time to enjoy a spicy and wonderful Mexican soup. A little bit of this radish. Now see, I've cut the cheese into strips. This softens up nicely in the hot soup. And a little bit of the crispy pasilla pepper. Cilantro leaves. And a little mound of these crispy tortilla strips. Make sure that wedge of lime accompanies every single bowl of the soup. And here you have sopa de tortilla, a soup that I can't resist, and I don't know how anyone can. Consommé is considered the most sophisticated of all the stock-based soups, but don't let this scare you. This delicious, clear, sparkling soup is made by reducing a beef or chicken or fish stock and then clarifying it. And the clarification process is really quite simple, despite what you might have heard. To begin with, you need some stock, and today I'm using a homemade chicken stock. We have 8 cups of homemade chicken stock, and you can see that that is not a clear stock. That is not a sparkling stock. It's a tasty stock, though, and that's what really counts. And in a medium saucepan that will hold all that stock, I am going to add ground chicken, 1 pound of ground chicken. And this is all part of the clarification process. And we're going to add some carrots. That's 1 carrot peeled and finely diced. And 1 stalk of celery. That's also finely diced. Mix this together. And to this, add 2 cups of the stock. The little lumps that you see, jelly. The stock is so good that it is a little bit gelatinous. And that's sort of what you want, really good, rich stock. And now we're going to add 6 egg whites. And we have to add 2 more egg whites to this bowl. There's 4 there. We don't want yolks, we don't want shells, we just want egg whites. And these will get added right to that mix. Stir that together. Now it looks kind of like mush, and that's what it will continue to look like, mush, as you add your stock. Don't turn the heat on yet. You want this to be cold, and you want to add the rest of your chicken stock now. 6 more cups. And then place over medium-high heat. And as the stock heats, the meat and the egg white proteins will coagulate, and they will rise to the surface, forming a raft. And that raft is what traps any impurities that might cloud the finished consommé. So you'll see what happens. So just keep this over the medium-high heat, and once it comes to a boil, then don't stir it again. Now, have ready a strainer like that with, a quadruple layer of cheesecloth. This is what you're going to strain the final clarified stock in. And once this comes to a boil, which it's about to do, you're going to reduce the heat to a low simmer and cook for 45 minutes. And this is what it looks like right over here after 45 minutes. You can see that the chicken has formed that top layer. The stock looks very clear. And I'm going to just take a big ladle, and I'm going to just take the clear consommé. There will be some fat because you have cooked a lot of chicken in here. The chicken stock itself might have some fat in it. We're just taking out whatever clear consommé we have. I think we've done very well. So looking very clear. One way to get rid of all the little globules of fat from the top is to chill and let that harden. All the fat will harden and you can remove that. Another way is to use this little filter. Now this is called a grease blotter, and you can just place that right on top like that. Let it soak up all the fat, and look at the great color. It's crystal clear. It's almost fat-free as soon as we remove this blotter. But now we're just going to take this off. I can see a tiny bit more, but once this is chilled, it will be fat-free, pretty much so. And you can serve it hot or cold, on its own, or garnished with thinly sliced vegetables, a little bit of thinly sliced meat, some shreds of delicate chicken, and you have a great consommé. Absolutely restaurant quality. 3 stars. You know, when you look at a menu and you see New England clam chowder, Manhattan clam chowder, you just don't know which one is the white one, which one is the red one. Well, the New England clam chowder is the white one. I'd like to show you today how to make the most delicious New England clam chowder you've ever tasted. The word chowder comes from the pan, the chaudière, great big shallow cauldron. And I've tried to simulate that somewhat in this shallow copper pan that I have right here with 6 slices of bacon cut in pieces. Saute it until it is crispy, and then remove it to a piece of paper toweling just to get rid of the excess fat. Pour off all but 2 tablespoons of fat from the pan, the chaudière. Now saute 1 cup of pearl onions. These have already been blanched and peeled. And 2 stalks of nice green celery cut into 1/4-inch pieces crosswise. Saute this just until the vegetables start to sweat. The base for this chowder is a roux, which is a thickening of flour and water and vegetables and lots of pepper. To the basic roux, you're going to add some well-flavored clam juice and some herbs, a fragrant thyme, and some bay leaves. We don't want to brown the vegetables. We just want to get them translucent. I like cooking in this big shallow pan because things cook faster. They're not crowded and they can really be moved around. And now you can add 3 tablespoons of flour. I'm cooking the flour over a rather high heat. This is the thickening, the starchy part of the soup. You want to cook the flour so it won't taste like raw flour. Slowly add 1/2 cup of water. And add 2 cups of unsalted clam juice. Now this you can buy bottled, but I find that if you have a place where you can get the freshly shucked clams, you can get really delicious fresh clam juice right out of the shell. You can see little flecks of flour. Those should disappear as you cook it. This is a great 1-dish meal with a big crusty French bread and maybe a piece of delicious cheese, a small fresh salad from the garden. Now add your thyme and your bay leaf, 2 bay leaves. It's already smelling very delicious. A sprinkling of black pepper, and now add your potatoes. This is 4 potatoes. Get a nice yellow potato because it just adds a lot of character to your chowder. Bring it to a boil and then simmer it until the potatoes are tender. That should take about 12 minutes or so. Now just test with a fork. If the potatoes are tender, then you can add the rest of your ingredients, and they are 2 pounds of shucked clams, about 8 pounds of clams in the shell, and they've been coarsely chopped. These are giant quahogs. Just add those with their liquor.
into the mixture. Add 2 ears of white corn or good yellow corn, fresh if you have it. It just looks better and better with each addition, doesn't it? So good. And 2½ cups of whole milk. And add, at this time, 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. Now, I know it's going to need a touch more pepper. And once it comes to a simmer, sprinkle in your bacon. Get a little bit of that smoky flavor. You can see why this is called a one-dish meal. It's extremely hearty, almost a stew, which is really what a chowder is. And now it's ready to serve. And we have an amazing soup, a true fisherman's chowder, and the secret ingredient, a little bit of sherry, just a little bit. New England clam chowder, as beautiful as it can ever be.